Welcome to the Whiskey Vault. I am Daniel Whittington, Chancellor of Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School. Still on the back end of being sick. This is one of those videos. So if I'm coughing, that's why. My sinuses are finally clear, but I'm feeling it and I'm tired. This is a gift from one of our level 4 whiskey sommeliers. This is Hidden Drams. Teresa Smith, otherwise known as Canadian Whiskey Smith. And she brought us a Dutch whiskey from the Netherlands, but was specifically bottled for Canada. And I'm excited about this one because I know Millstone already, and we have it in the vault. Millstone is a Dutch distillery, Zoudem distillery, Zoudem. It depends on how you pronounce that. My memory I lived in Amsterdam for a little bit, and my memory of Dutch is that Z-U-I-D-A-M is either Zoudem or Zoudem, depending on who you're talking to. But I could be wrong. So it could be Zoudem. Anyway, Fred van Zoudem, like 50 plus years ago, created his distillery, Zoudem Distilleries, and they were doing all kinds of products. It wasn't until 98 that his son, Patrick, wasn't until late 90s that Patrick wanted to make a whiskey. They started making it in 98, I think. Didn't release anything for almost a decade. And so Millstone started releasing whiskeys, I think 2007, which predates most of American craft whiskey. So you might just be hearing about them in the US, but they are not any newer than any of the beloved craft distilleries. They're older, if anything. I mean, that predates, I think Balcones is 2008. If I'm not mistaken. That predates most American craft and definitely most American single malt makers. And they are super nerdy about production. They're doing long fermentations. They're experimenting with yeast. A lot of the notes, actually, and I'm just going to call this out. One of my favorite things to do when I'm researching whiskey and trying to understand it, Dramface, dramface.com. I'm a member, paying member. Brody Balfour wrote a great bit 4 years ago on Millstone. And it was really thoughtful and well-researched and really well done, just like everything I've ever read on Dramface. Do yourself a favor and check them out. But everything that I was looking for is also on their website about this one. This one's specific and unique. And basically, they were so serious about, they're serious about production. So they're using relatively small stills. I mean, 2,000 liter, what is that? Like 500 gallons, roughly speaking, because 3.5, anyway. And they're doing really small batch production. Bigger stripping stills, smaller spirit still as typical. Bigger than some of Scotland's smallest ones like Edgedour, but not by much. And long fermentations and very specific barrel use. When I was first looking into Millstone, I remembered that they use sherry barrels, and just like Scotland, they're using sherry and American used bourbon barrels, but there is a tendency when you're going budget in sherry barrels to just get sort of what's the name for it? There's a name for it now where you basically get a new barrel, you almost do a sherry rinse. It hardly stays in the barrel just long enough that the sherry is in there. And then it's almost sherry seasoning. And whereas Zoudem is using like old sherry casks with a heavy-handed sherry influence, trying to be very serious about the impact that has, which is a lot like what Balcones is doing, you know? And again, 5 minutes in, forgot to pour and or smell the whiskey. Hazy brain. Sorry, guys. On the nose. By the way, this is a PX release. So good. It smells so good. This is funky, earthy, wide cut, really into the tails. The sulfur of the sherry, the PX, or the sulfite, like that funky, low phenolic note in the PX is pushing forward the really heavy-handed grain impact, but there's a lot of fruit that's not just the PX. This has got to be smoked. Either that or the PX impact is so strong. What is that? That smells roasted. I can't read that again. Hang on. Okay. Son of a... Long coal fermentation. Slow, gentle. Pedro Jimenez. Doesn't say anything about smoky whiskey. I wonder if my nose is screwing with me. Oh no! Here it is! Peated PX. Okay. Thank God. I thought I was broken. Oh, and there it is. I missed it the whole time, Teresa. Heavy peat. Okay. So where is it? Baird's? It smells like Baird's. It didn't say. Okay. So I don't know what the barley is, but it reminds me. Baird's heavily peated malt you can purchase from Scotland. It's one of the most commonly purchased peated grains that's generally available to the public and around the world. And it has a hallmark. Like once you get a handle on what Baird's is used in a bunch of Scottish distilleries, and it doesn't taste like one thing. Like if I remember correctly, Baird's is what Caol and Lagavulin are using, but Caol and Lagavulin don't have the same smoke characteristic. So it has everything to do with how you cut it and how you ferment it and what you try to treat it. But there is an underlying note with the heavily peated Baird's that I found when I was distilling with it here in Texas, and I'm smelling that. It's reminding me of our peated releases that were using Baird's malt, only with a super jammy, really heavy, condensed fruit, like preserves, like fig preserves and raisins. Yeah, almost Fig Newton. Man, that is good. If you're in Canada and you can get your hands on this, this is release number 3. Holy cow. Distilled 2019. It's 5 years old. Not quite. Almost 5 years old. Man. This, I'm trying to look at other details. Craftwork Spirits bottled it. That is beautiful. They are milling their own grain at Millstone. That's why it's named Millstone. They actually are using windmills connected to stone grinders to grind their own grain. That's nuts. That's how nerdy these guys are. I'm so here for it. It's not always true that super nerdy production decisions result in really high quality whiskey. I've had plenty of whiskey made by really intelligent, nerdy distillers that the end product doesn't taste that good because they were so obsessed with the production and the science and the engineering that they forgot about being pleasing to the palate. And then you sort of convince yourself that if you did all the ingredients right, the outcome has to be good, and that's not necessarily true. You remember old BMWs where they drove really, really incredible, but the inside was so sparse and austere that even like the nicer high-end BMWs, I remember getting my first BMW that I spent real money on. I had one BMW, and I got it, and I got in, and I was like, this is nice, but this is what nice is as imagined by Germans, engineers. This is fancy. It's not that fancy, though. Like, just because you put leather doesn't mean it's fancy. Like, it doesn't, like, the Lexus feels good. It feels luxurious. The BMWs, all their effort went into how it drives, which is the point. Right, but like it was austere. And often I've run into whiskey production that's like that, where it's like, oh, everything is in the production, but like you forgot about the things that like make people feel good about drinking whiskey. This is not that. This is someone who's so nerded out on all the production, but then landed on something that is so pleasing and beautiful and rich for a whiskey nerd. If you don't like smoky whiskey, you're gonna struggle with this. If you don't like heavy PX, deep, sweet fruit notes, this is gonna be too sweet for you. This is what happens. This reminds me of the really, really, oh man, I just got stale cigarette smoke for a split second. This reminds me of, wow, so many weird memories are popping into my head. Eating jam on burnt toast in my grandma's house where everyone was smoking cigarettes inside. I mean, I really like this a lot. The proof 53. I'm gonna add a little water, even though we're growing long on this one, but this is good. I'm glad where did my water bottle go? There it is. Hot. A little bit of water. One for the bottle, one for the mouth. Let that settle for a second. Peter, well played, my friend. You're doing God's work. Teresa, thank you for the gift of letting me try this. Oh man, it got darker and more leathery on the nose. Oh, it softened. It got flat. That was too much water. Man, it was really in the sweet spot at the proof that it was at. But either way, that's a really great whiskey. There is a lot going on. This is not a background whiskey. This is a whiskey that will step up, slap you in the face, and demand your attention. And ask for your safe word. Oh, this whiskey has a safe word. Cheers to you guys. I'm really glad you're here. Smells so good. Now it smells like pipe tobacco. If you enjoy whiskey that needs a safe word, this is your channel. Like and subscribe.